All right, let's turn the camera off. Let me say, Johanna, I saw your info. I will look at it. I'm just coming on here for a few minutes, and so I've just been like doing a whole bunch of things, sending emails off to various people and places. So I want you to know that if you send me an email or something, I have it. What she said? Okay, she said stop calling her. She's at work. Don't call nobody again. Sorry. All right, y'all. Let me come on here real quick, and I just named this particular broadcast food for thought because it's something I wanted to share. And so I'm just gonna say it, and then we're gonna go into prayer, and then I'm gonna be done. We're gonna be done. All right. First and foremost, let me say hello, and I pray that everybody is doing well and that you're having an excellent afternoon. It's late evening or getting to be at that place, depending on where you are. And I pray that your weather is serene and everything is tranquil and peaceful. I hope so. Well, anyways, I was sitting at the mall, waiting for my daughters to get off from work, and remember we have been talking about warfare and different things like that, and I had mentioned that this earth. Hey, Johanna, I got it, and I'm gonna look at it as soon as I get home. I'm just picking up folks right now, and I'm stopped on the side waiting on one to come on up out of here, and then I surely will. Thank you, and I will reply tonight. Okay, so I'm sitting at the mall and I'm looking and I noticed that I had asked for the students to pick up a certain book, and as I'm reading the book, I thought it was going to be okay, but it's always like a whole bunch of subliminal messages, and they don't tell you all these things until you buy the book. And I kind of hate that I asked them to buy it because it looks as if I endorsed it. I did not endorse. Um, it's a true story, but yet it's based on a young lady who doesn't relate to any gender. Isn't that typical of what's going on today? She doesn't call herself a male or a female. This one's nice. Doesn't call herself a male or a female. She calls herself a they or something like that, to that nature. Anyways, long story short, you should really, that one, you should really let's just go past that. All right, so here it is with this book or whatever. I get to the mall, because okay, sorry. Okay, I get to the mall and I'm sitting out here waiting on the two girls to come out, and I promise y'all, all I see, I mean, it just seemed like the world just changed in a day. Like in a day. Like, how, I don't know if this was already the situation. Were people hiding in the background? Was it that people weren't ready? I'm just, I feel a little confused. I'm sitting in the mall, and all I'm seeing are these same gendered relationships. Um, oh goodness. A lot of like trans and I don't know, men that look straight, and then women looking straight with, it's a whole lot of stuff going on. And all I wanted to know, is this something that was happening? I know it was happening, but why did it just seem like it became more prevalent overnight? I know you may live in certain states or cities where it's a lot of that happening, but where I live, not so much out in the opening, but now it's like everywhere. I'm sitting out here for 30 minutes, and it seemed like every other couple coming out, there's something going on to that nature. That's not what I came on here for today, but that's just a little sidebar. And another thing I noticed is that there's so many walked out right in front of me while I'm talking with cursed clothes on. Most of the clothes that I'm looking at are either in reference to a rainbow cloak or some type of little satanic worship. Or um, there's more, so why this girl, I got one to no end if she could. Send 100 texts a day, call all day long. Please, y'all, pray for her to have some friends. All right, so stuff got one eye open, hexagrams, all type of stuff on the clothing. And people are wearing this as if they don't know what this stuff means. Like, where did we get to the place that we don't know what anything means? The third thing I see is a young lady walking in a parking lot, not realizing where her car is. That's another thing, family. We need to know where our cars are and have your key out to get in your car. As she's looking around the parking lot, I noticed a tall gentleman, not even gentleman, a tall man standing, and he's watching. Now, what is he watching for? He at the end of the parking lot. I thought maybe he was looking at somebody else, but when his eyes were following her, and he didn't even see me behind him, and I just thought, wow. As I rode on past him and he's still watching her, I said, I'm just gonna wait till you find your car. She looked at me like I was suspect, but I was telling her, honey, just be safe. There's been a multitude of children missing. It's just time for us to like come up out of our sleep and our slumber. This is not to be fearful. This is to be alert, as the Bible told us to be sober minded. We're not supposed to be sleep, drunk off the world. We're not supposed to be sleepwalking. We're supposed to be awake and praying, watching and praying. That's what he told us to do. So I'm just looking at an influx of things happening that just don't make no sense. All right, so here's the food for thought. The food for thought. If people have, okay, if all of this stuff is going on in our world, in our country, so to speak, we got to worry about every little thing. Now, if they talking about that the economy is going to collapse and there's no food and there's no this and that, and there's these perils all over the earth. And so I was looking at some things. I was looking at some things. Now I have this major contradiction, and I was just wondering did anybody else notice? I don't have it, but I just noticed a contradiction. How is it? How is it that they say that this is the land of the free, which we understand that our constitutional rights seem like they're being removed as we speak. Mhm. Then they told us that the Constitution was written for us, right? We know that African Americans were not in mind, but eventually through the years, it was supposed to be that we became a part of it somehow. Just hold on and hear me out. We were supposed, it was like we were property, so to speak. But then they said, okay, no, no longer can that be because we've been emancipated and all this type of stuff, and we're not property to anybody anymore. All right. So then I find out that, of course, when we enroll our children in the school, they become property. When we get a birth certificate, we become property. So our children become property of the education system. We become property of society or the government. Social security numbers and birth certificates make us property. So I'm understanding that we are part of the debt or we are the collateral. Okay. So that's why people can work, or that's why they had these institutions built, and people can go in these places and be in there for long periods of a time because supposedly now we are property to whatever it is that we have. So for instance, I have a birth certificate, so I'm a property. They're saying we're property to the government. Social security card, I'm sorry. Birth certificate to the state that you're born in. Signing them up in school, they're property of the education system. Once you go into the hospital, you're property of the hospital. Say I'm wrong. Tell me if anybody can just come and get you or leave out with a baby that they just had or any of that. Your property. So then, how is the Constitution telling us that we had rights that were supposed to be reflective of our freedom and liberties? So you mean to tell me if we are property and we can't just walk up out of stuff, like if I don't want a birth certificate anymore, how come I can't cancel that? If I don't want a social security card anymore, how come I can't cancel that? If I don't want my children in school, why can't I just not let them go to school? If I don't want to go to a hospital, if I want to check out, if I don't want to do a treatment, how come I just can't do that? So here's my question. With all that being said, and what was the Constitution for? And what rights did we really have? Hold on. Would you say noticing a lot of homes hanging? Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. And not just that, some satanic stuff too, black and white. I'm sorry, I can't see the comments for whatever reason. Like they hidden under the bottom of the screen. I gotta like try to scrub the screen to pull them up. Sorry about that. But yes. Okay. So this is my question. I remember, let me put this out here first. Several years ago, I was traveling to Atlanta by bus. It was like I've been to Atlanta a couple of times by bus. I don't know why I took the bus. At the time, I was afraid to fly. But each time I rode the bus, I came in contact with some really wonderful people, some beautiful people. I met a guy who calls himself a Moorish American, a Moor, whatever it is. I don't want to get the term right. I mean, wrong. I'm sorry. Why is she crying at this man? That's interesting. Sorry. So, a Moorish. We were riding on this bus together, and he was trying to, he was talking or whatever. At the time, I was the devout Christian. I ain't know nothing about nothing else. And I was like, nah, I don't know. That's a little weirdness. And at the time, I think about the words that he was talking about. He was so much further along. And so he was talking about how we shouldn't be eating meat, we shouldn't be eating seafood, we shouldn't be using regular soap, we should be natural, we should make our own stuff, we should harvest our own food. And he was just talking about all of these things, and he was sharing with me about the word in the way of the Old Testament. I didn't quite understand. And he was talking about the Moors were the first people. I didn't understand. I had never heard of it. So to me, when we don't hear and we don't know about stuff, we'll reject it right off the back because we've been so ingrained, so influenced, so indoctrinated, thinking that our way is the right way and the only way. And I'm not saying that it's not. But I look at my life when I was that, and I was eating everything that I wanted to do, doing what I wanted to do. I was going in church faithfully, and I said I love the Lord, but my lifestyle didn't really reflect at 100%. It was probably about 70%. So I had if it was 70%, I had 30% of me. And it might have been less than that. It could be that I was living the right life or living the life 30% and 70% of it was worldly. All I'm gonna say is this: I was a carnal Christian, but I thought I was right because I was in church and they told us about, what we needed to know, and we hung our hat there, and we didn't have any other evidence than that. That we were churchgoers, that we were loyal to our pastors, that we had fellowship with each other, and we judged everything and everybody. But if you looked at my life and I couldn't, if it was like one of them games where you could not say the word Christian or Jesus, I don't know if anybody would have known that I was truly a believer. What identified me, if anything? All right. So he talking and I'm looking at him all upside his head. But he over here, his life is reflective. He's doing things. And I asked him, where do you work? And he said, work, I don't. And I said, you don't work? He said, no. I said, well, what do you do? He said, I practice law. I hope she don't come in here talking. Here she come. I'm live. I don't want to hear your lip right now. He said, he practiced law and that he was helping to free, or they were working up, trying to build up a evidence and a substantial, I don't know if you would call it a case, evidence to help out Lauren. I'm lying. Trying to help out Lauren Hill at the time. I don't even know how true that is, but he said they were trying to come together to help her get out. And at the time, she was in jail or standing trial for whatever they said. What was it, tax evasion or something of that nature? From all of that, that's all I can really remember on that. But one thing in particular that stood out with me, he said they practice law. This is what they do. It's a bunch of them, and they were self sufficient. I don't remember him telling me where they were or where they lived, but there was one thing that I remember him solely saying. I asked him where was he going, and he said he was on his way to Washington, D.C. Now, I don't know if that was on my way going to Atlanta. I'm not sure. All I remember is that he was either on the way there. I think he was on the way there, not on the way back. And I remember clearly that he said he was on his way to Washington, D.C. And I said, well, what's that all about? And he was trying to share everything with me before he got to the next stop. Because, you get off on your stop and people start. He said he was going to get emancipated, and I didn't understand. And he said he was going to see about um, getting his birth certificate terminated. And I said, "Well, why did you do that?" And he said, "You know what? His sister, so you'll understand by and by." He said, "I would hope that of us, all brothers and sisters, would do this." I didn't get it. And didn't understand what all was. I didn't even realize know what things. I didn't even understand like the long term effect of. Oh, so indoctrinated to believe that if you have these things, somehow makes life better. And then you'll hear people say, "Well, we don't have this, that. We're not gonna be able. Not gonna be able to do what." Let me hear that. Okay, so if you don't have able to have a social security number, you won't be able to apply for food stamps, Medicaid, free housing, you understand, loans for nothing. Okay. Okay. So we won't be able to have doctor care, vaccinations, any of that. You won't have to pay taxes. You can't get tax money. So, I asked him how does this happen when I really didn't even know what that line of taxis. Nevertheless, I didn't see it then, and it looked like it was cumbersome, like it was a problem. But now I look back and I say, well, if they're trying to get us to that system now, we don't have anything. That the only way that you would have anything is to depend on, being taken care of or receiving handouts from the system. Can you imagine if you got to the place that if they're trying to get us to where we don't have nothing, and if we go back to living foundational, where everything that we do, we're back at the beginning, gathering, harvesting, planting, uh, taking care of ourselves, and being self-sufficient, which is the way it was in the earlier time. We really need the things that are being stated. What, what if they want to get us back? If we're going back to that anyway, if there's saying food on the shelves, cutting out the social services or social programs, cutting out benefits, maybe social security one day, Medicaid, all things. So, what is everything else? What purpose of having those documents? Well, food for thought. Documents would be the purpose, even if the person necessarily fulfill that obligation. But where's really to provide you anything? We saw uh, this such a that I promise you, pride, the life, property, something else. Okay. When we build property, those documents are intact, but they do away with the Constitution, the quality of life, freedom and property. Oh, I'm sorry. So for people to really take a look at change, was online trying to see if birth certificate, because they tell us that we cannot. But I thought there's got to be rules around everything. Now in certain, you can't hear. Hey there, anybody, lady, would you please go on? Y'all hear- You can, if too lazy to up and hey, y'all, joining me. One. Hello, am I I don't even know y'all can hear me anymore. Still haven't. I, I just put it on the. Hey, I should be out of the hot zone. Hello. All right, y'all have to shout, and I'll come back on. And she said she can't.